This is the second string of the Senior Pro Tour at Mohegan Bowl, Saturday, January 29th. And here you can see on lane 4, Bill Augie Aldrich. And on lane 5, that's Jim Putney. And over on lane 3 is John Brown. Over on lane 2, that's Paul Mahoney. Wow, and a nice ball by Paul Mahoney in the 1-2 pocket, but he leaves a 4-6-7 split. Really a pretty tough break. John Brown with a nice ball and a 9-drop, leaving a 5-pin. Meanwhile, Augie Aldrich has a 6-drop on lane 4. And a nice shot by Augie Aldrich right there. Let's take another look at it. As you can see, the head pin comes off the wall, and he takes out that 1-3-6-8 spare. Very nice. And it's a 10 bucks for Paul Mahoney. And a 9 for John Brown on lane 3. John Brown had a 134 game in the first string of this Saturday shift at Mohegan Bowl, so he's leading so far. He took the high single for the first string. Jim Barber was second with 127, and Jim Putney was third with 125. And there's a nice shot by Paul Mahoney on lane 2. He takes down the 4 horsemen. And Augie Aldrich drops 8 on lane 4, leaving a 3-10. Some wood behind the 3-pin might give him a shot at it. And John Brown drops 9, leaving a 7-pin with a bunch of wood. Nice shot by Augie Aldrich on lane 4, covering that 3-10. And John Brown converts the spare. And Augie Aldrich with a 6 fill. Meanwhile, John Brown punches through the middle for 5 on the spare. And that's Jim Putney over on lane 5. You can just catch a glimpse of him in the left side of the screen. Looks like after 5, Augie Aldrich has 58. John Brown has 60. Meanwhile, Paul Mahoney had a 53 half. Jim Putney had a 48 half. And obviously you can tell from the background conversation that the senior pros have a good time here. It's a lot of fun out on the tour. That's a big contrast between candlepin bowlers and the 10-pin bowlers that I used to know on the tournament scene. 10-pin bowlers just do not seem to enjoy what they're doing, but there's just not a lot of smiling. Everybody's got their game face on. And then coming back to candlepin bowling after a lengthy hiatus, I was struck by how much candlepin bowlers enjoy what they're doing. There's a lot of smiling and joking around during a tournament. A lot of camaraderie among the bowlers. And Mike Morgan with a 6th drop, leaving the 4 horseman right side. Meanwhile, that's Rich Hawk Hallis on lane 5. Hawk is trying to bounce back after a subpar first string, but you know he's not going to be down for too long. He'll come back. That's a 10 box for Mike Morgan on lane 4. And Mike Morgan on lane 4 punches out a half Worcester right side. And now he punches out the other half Worcester. Nice shot by Hawk Hallis over on lane 5. He converted that 4-6-7, utilizing the wood in front of the 4-7. Kicked it off the wall and made a spare out of it. Terrific shot. That's a 6 for Mike Morgan on lane 4. And after that spare by Jim Powers on lane 3, there is a strike by Mike Morgan on lane 4. Solid in the 1-3 pocket. Here's a look at the replay. You can see he just hits this one high flush. No doubt about it whatsoever. Great ball. And meanwhile, Jim Powers drops 7, leaving a 6-7-10 split with some wood. There is another strike by Mike Morgan on lane 4. He's got a double. Taking a look at the replay, high flush, and the 2-pin comes off the wall and goes right in between the 4-7 and takes them both. Another solid shot. And Jim Powers just takes out the 6-10. Doesn't want to try that wood over there. Sometimes you're better off just pinning, taking as many pins as you can get. And it's a 9 box for Jim Powers. And that was Jim Barber converting the 4 horsemen over on lane 2. And here's Mike Morgan looking for a triple strike. Wow. Great ball. He's got the triple. And take a look at it on replay. Just solid in the 1-2 pocket, and this one just does not take any time at all to go down. That is just a super shot right there. Mike Morgan can throw strikes anywhere. And now Paul Mahoney is back up on lane 2, and he drops 8. Great shot by Hawk Hallis over on lane 5, converting the 3-4-6-7. He just cut that 3 right over into the 4-7. Terrific shot. And Paul Mahoney makes the spare on lane 2. Just pushes the wood straight back. So let's see, in that second string through 5 frames, Mike Morgan had, he had 16 through 2, and then threw strikes in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th frames. Hawk Hallis has, let's see, Jim Barber has 49 with a spare up in the 5th. And Hawk Hallis has 63 with a strike up in the 5th, giving way to Jim Putney, who had 48. And let's see, off screen over on lane 6, Cindy Globish had a 41.5. And that's a nice ball by Augie Aldrich on lane 4, but he just got nothing out of it. Let's take a look at that on replay. You will see that he throws a nice ball in the 1-2 pocket, but it just does nothing. The ball is deflected, and he takes out the 1, 2, 3, and 8. Really a tough break there. But Augie takes out the 6, 9, 10 with the second ball. He'll just try to pin his way out of this with as many, get whatever he can out of it. And Jim Putney over on lane 5 drops 9, leaving the 3-pin with some wood behind it, I think, so he should be able to throw the ball just about anywhere and make that spare. Well, make a liar out of me. He went by the 3-pin, and I guess it was not touching the wood wasn't touching the 3, so it didn't go. But he picks it up for a 10. And meanwhile, Augie Aldrich misses the head pin, but drops 6 and has a makeable spare, the 1, 4, 7, 8. And he just goes by the head pin, takes out everything but the head pin. Nope, actually, he left the 1-8 and he converted it for a 10 box. And John Brown on lane 3 has 6, leaving the 3, 5, 6, 7 with no wood. See what he can do with this. Great shot right there by John Brown. Let's take another look. He hits this perfectly. It's the 3, 5, 6 and kicks the 5-pin off the wall and into the 7-pin for a spare. Great shot. And Bill Aldrich, Augie Aldrich, on lane 4, buries the ball in the 1-3 pocket and drops 9, leaving a 7-pin. with a piece of wood out front. See if he can push it back. Got it. Meanwhile, a nice no-veal by Paul Mahoney on lane 2. He took out the 4 horsemen left plus the 9. Great shot right there. That spare is called a no-veal for reasons that are kind of lost in the midst of time. There's an explanation for it, but if I tried to relay it, I would undoubtedly get it wrong. But anyway, that's called a no-veal. And Paul Mahoney punches out a spread eagle on the spare, just a 4 fill. Paul finishes with a 112 game here in the second. Meanwhile, Jim Powers finishes up with a 103. John Brown had a 114. And wow, look at that shot by Augie Aldrich. He had the 128. And look at this shot. He hits it perfectly almost, it would seem. But the 2-pin goes up and around and over the 8-pin. I think that piece of wood behind it actually knocked the 2-pin up and over the 8. Really got robbed. Meanwhile, Mike Morgan steps up on lane 4, and as you know, he's working on a triple strike. He had strikes in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th boxes. So he's looking for a 4-bagger right here. And he has got it. That one's a little light in the 1-2 pocket, but you can see well, take a look at it. Head pin comes off the wall, takes out the 3, and that's 4 strikes in a row. And speaking of 4 strikes in a row, Jim Barber over on lane 2, as you'll recall, once threw a 4-bagger on the Channel 5 Candlepin Bowling Show. That was... I'll get the date wrong if I try to recall exactly when it was, but it was a long time ago. And here's Mike Morgan to see if he can continue the string of strikes. Nope, doesn't do it. He drops 4. Did I tell you that Jim Powers had a 103? Well, I'm obviously getting ahead of myself doing the voiceover after the fact, as he hasn't finished the string yet. But anyway, he is en route to a 103 game. And Mike Morgan has 7 on the 2nd strike and then a 9 box in the 7th frame. Jim Powers with a nice ball right there, a strike, and let's see if we can get it on replay. Here's another look at it. He hits high flush in the 1-3 pocket, and the 8-pin is the last one to go. Terrific shot by Jim Powers. Nice ball by Mike Morgan on lane 4. And he's got 6, leaving the 6, 7, 9, 10 with some wood over there. And a nice bid, but as you can see, he just really got robbed. Let's take a look at it as the 6-pin comes off the wall and goes right in front of the 7-pin and that plank that's sitting in front of it and does not touch it. That was really a bad break. He deserved a spare on that one. Didn't get it. So he'll have to settle for a 10. Boy, speaking of bad breaks, Jim Barber with a nice ball over on lane 2, but he leaves very similar split. He's got the 6, 7, 9. With some wood, though, he might be able to make it. Let's see what Jim can do. Oh, good bid, but the 7 pin doesn't quite go. Meanwhile, Mike Morgan with a 7 drop on lane 4 and another split. And a good try, but just didn't go for him. So let's see. Mike Morgan has, I think it's 144 through the ninth, but I'm not quite sure. And a solid 1-2 pocket hit, but a tough break again. And he's got the 6, 8, 9, 10. Triangle over in the right corner plus the 8 pin. And again, a good try, but the 8 pin doesn't go. So that's a $10, and that's despite the 4 strikes in a row, that's a 154 game for Mike Morgan after the second string, and Hawk Hallis had a 143 second.